Hmm. Well, y'all tell me what you think. I think this, it's approximately 2 by 8 feet. There's a little more inches there, but it's about 2 by 8 feet. A few decimal points over, but not much. I'm thinking, okay, 2-rail division, switching layout, something could be shown off at shows. I don't even know what this stuff is used for. It says Curdy board on it by Schluter. I would assume that that's probably a German, it's obviously a German name. Schluter Systems, huh? I think I'm gonna have to look that up, see what that stuff gets used for. I know it's used in showers. It's very lightweight. It's foam. It's about 2 inches thick. From what I understand, it's quite expensive. And they just, if they don't use it all, of course they don't use it all most of the time. They end up throwing a lot of it away. This looks like it's this one's 24 inch by 96 inches, so that's 2 by 8 feet. That would, that makes it, how would you say? That makes that a full piece. Found that I had to clean out the garage yesterday at a house, and I guess they didn't use, either they had 2 of these and didn't need the second one, or any of the second one. So like I said, they get used in certain types of showers and stuff, so usually in the master bedrooms. Because I've never seen these used in relationship with like a bathtub, where you have the shower and the bathtub as an all-in-one type thing. But very interesting. Hey, why don't you follow me through the intro, and maybe we'll talk a little bit more about it here in a little bit. Well, you didn't think I was going to not run a train here, did you? Of course I was going to run a train. Obviously, it's the same train I ran in the last report. Always fun to run a train. Well, there's the powered unit, and it does have the pilot permanently mounted now. I'm going to put a KD coupler on it here in a little bit, and what that's going to leave for that is changing out these rear couplers, because as I've said before, let me move this up provided I can. This thing, would you believe this thing's already fried up a couple of traction tires? Gosh, I hope I don't need traction tires for the for my passenger cars, because that's really all I've got this set for anyway. But what I'm doing here is talk about, I could almost put in-scale stuff on here. All right, as I've said before, and as I've noted before, we've got over about 7 scale feet between the units. Now, typically on the prototype, you know, you would take about 4 feet off of that. And so, yeah, let's see, you do this. I'm going to move one coupler over, move the other one over, and see if we can get it. Alright. Trying to do this single-handedly ain't the easiest thing in the world. Okay. Alright, now, that's more or less how they should look. And we can bring it down to, well, that's about right. That's about 3 scale feet between the units. And that probably brings it down on the doorways there, probably brings that down to about 2.5 feet. Well, let's see here. Well, 2 feet anyway. Anyway, I want to get a little bit more prototypical look on that. And hopefully I'll have that done. Maybe we'll get the this taken care of on the next Monday Night Madness, huh? Alrighty. I already showed you my foam board out there. I already showed you that foam board I picked up yesterday, cleaning out a garage. Let's go out here into the sunlight. And like I'm saying, this will be a part of the 2-rail division. Plan on making a little switching layout out of this. It's, like I said, 8 feet long. This stuff is very stable. Very, very stable. I may have to put pieces of aluminum channel underneath it to hold things up and keep it good and straight. Be well worth it. Be well worth the trouble. I haven't done any research. I guess I should look that up. Let's see, schlutersystems.com, schluter-systems.com. Let me go look that up. Well, as I did a little research, I couldn't get very far because my internet connection keeps messing up. But I'm gonna look it up in the house when I'm on my Wi-Fi and everything, because that seems to be a very interesting thing. But these boards, they're very sturdy. They're very And it has something to do with waterproofing the showers. And it's 2 feet by 8 feet. In fact, this one even says it right on it, right there. So I'm thinking, okay, well, unless I can find enough 2-rail track and some switches cheap enough, we can have a little passing track and some a couple of industrial tracks on here, just something to play with and run the 2-rail stuff with. And that's what I would want to do with that, be able to show that off at shows and things like that. So that's definitely something to consider there. So, but I'm considering building it mainly so as a summertime project. I may hand lay the track on individual wood ties and scratch build the switches. Not the easiest thing to do out in the summer heat, but hey, it's better than a lot of things. Be able to, but I'd have something to really show off. You know what I mean? You know, when you want to do a show, and then maybe I can use this at like some of Joe's shows to show off also there, and run the switching operation. Be able to, and I have about another just under 3 foot section of this stuff, you know, that had been cut off, you know, from somebody putting a shower in to one of the houses that I'd picked up before. Didn't know what I was going to do with it, but it's foam, 2-inch thick foam, very, very dense. But I'd want to keep it standing straight, so, and on something like this, I would probably go ahead and attach it to aluminum to keep it straight instead of wood. Wood gets very heavy, so I really wouldn't want wood. And the wood you get at around here, it's really kind of crappy wood. So probably as a summertime project, that's something that I can look into. I've got a little bit of rail. I need more rail, and I can make my own ties. So unless I can find ties, you know, a big package of ties, you know, about 20,000 ties or 50,000 ties dirt cheap, because I'm certainly not going to order fresh ties from, you know, from Fast Tracks or anybody else where they're, you know, you only get 1,000 of you only get like 1,000 ties in the package, and they want like $60 for them or $70 for them. Oh, to hell with that noise. And then you got to pay shipping on top of that. No, I don't think so. But it's something I'm considering. Okay, so now we're back again. Time for the vlog. Anyway, that's what I'm considering as a summertime project. Put a little scenery on it, some buildings, some industrial type buildings. And I'd be able to run my 2-rail Red Caboose GP9 to shuffle the cars back and forth. And that one will get a little use now, you know, which is something to look forward to. My only problem is when it comes to the 2-rail, I very seldom ever find anything in 2-rail at any of the shows. Yeah, I get lucky once in a while. I found 2 sections of 2-rail track at Zitnik Trains in I think it was one of the shows up in Crystal River, when we have a Crystal River show. I don't remember which one, but I found a couple of pieces of 2-rail track. I could probably research it because I probably showed it to you on the show hall segment of one of my reports. But also picked up some other 2-rail track. So I have some 2-rail track. I don't have any 2-rail switches, which is always a royal pain in the butt. Anybody would know that. But it's not impossible to get it. I mean, if I get lucky, I find a bunch of rail. I've got some steel rail, code 148 rail, that I could use for that. Yes, I've been running 3-rail and I'm enjoying it, and I at least have trains running, and but I've still always been a 2-railer at heart. I mean, it's what I grew up with. I didn't have line L trains when I was a kid. I was so mistreated. I didn't have line L trains. My first train set was an Aurora postage stamp train set, little 060, 2 freight cars and a caboose. That's what I started, and the oval of track and that cheap, crappy little power supply they give you. And that was all in that little tiny, thin postage stamp trains box that you could put on a shelf. You remember the ads? Yeah, I remember seeing that ad, and I thought that was the neatest thing. Next thing I knew, I got one for Christmas that following year. And it got to where, of course, I ended up in HO and N and HO and N. Couldn't ever make up my mind which one I liked better. And then back about 1982, I was in Denver and got talked into doing ON3 as opposed to the HON3 I was playing with at the time. And I loved the size of it. And then I graduated into O scale, full size O scale. And for years I did O scale 2-rail. Now, you know how it gets when life gets in the way and you got to sell everything off to, and we're not only talking about trains, we're talking about just about everything you own. You got to sell off to get money that's badly needed to take care of a situation that you're in, that you probably got yourself in, or just one of those unexpected things that comes up. And it's happened to me a couple of times, I'm sure. And then I went back into O scale 2-rail, and then I let certain things lapse in my mind and ended up in HO scale. It really wasn't it was more of that was just more of a generic switch over, which to this day I'm not understanding how that happened. I don't know why I got so disgusted and so fed up with O scale that I decided to make that switch, but I did, and then of course again life got in the way. We had to sell a lot of stuff off. I got disgusted with the hobby altogether and sold all that off as well. We got through it all and came out on the other side, of course, as you usually do. And when I remember my wife telling me that if you get into model trains again, I'm going to kick your butt. So we're over at the train show over here at Hernando County Fairgrounds one year, and picked up a boxcar and looked at it. It was an O-scale boxcar, 2-rail, of course. Some guy had a couple of them. He was selling mostly Lionel stuff, but he said, "Take $5 for that." Okay. And then I saw another car sitting there, Dairyman's Express Reefer. So I picked that up, and he said, "I'll take $5 for that one too." I said, "Okay." And I had already bought another box car that was pretty much a resin kit, beautiful castings. Didn't have a roof on it, but it did have the one thing that it didn't have any details, but what it did have was a pair of Athearn Bettendorf trucks on it, and KD couplers. Already had that. I thought, okay, I'm going to go ahead and pick these up. And I picked those up along with a couple of boxes of detail parts and bits and pieces and whatnot. And that was less than $20. So I snuck those out to the out to the car before the wife saw those. I didn't sneak. She looked up and gave me a dirty look when she saw me buy those two freight cars from that one guy for $5 a piece. Okay, I'll take them. And there was a bunch of time there where I had a chance to get a whole bunch of two-rail track from Dana at Dana's Railroad Supply. I already had my GP9. That GP9 I just wouldn't sell off. So instead of that, so I still had the GP9. Now I had a couple of freight cars and a few other things. And for a little while there, I also had a good stock of two-rail wheel sets. No trucks. I had some trucks, but not very many. But I had some two-rail wheel sets, and so I started picking up a few three-rail cars and converting them to two-rail. I was able to get KD couplers from both Dana and Zitnik Hobbies or Zitnik Trains. So, and as the train shows went on, I was picking up a little bit more here, a little bit more there. And then it just got to where, well, all you see at these shows is three-rail. Yeah, you run into some two-rail stuff every once in a while. The old Atlas, a.k.a. Roco freight cars, are all two-rail. So they were meant for two-rail, but work well with three-rail. So, I try to pick those up whenever I can. Outside of that, that's where I'm at today. I've got 3 1-foot modules, two-rail, that I hand laid the track on. I made my own ties with some basswood, strip wood that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. Not the most economical way to do it, but I can make my own ties. Give me a block of 2x4 and my table saw, and in an hour I'll have more ties than you can shake a stick at. So with that being said, I figure, why not maybe give it another try to have the two-rail division actually added on to, and I can take and just do that as a summertime project. Get me through the summer. I got to pick up a tarp so that I can keep it covered out here as I'm building it and working on it. I can keep it covered when I'm not around it and not able to work on it. Get out in the sun and get some good vitamin D and vitamin E and whatnot. So, with that in mind, and I know I'm still planning on another thing I could do. If I can get my hands on some Lionel switches, 072 switches, I can take and do some things with those, and basically use the Lionel track and convert it to two-rail. Ah, yes. Oh, you might be wondering, how do you convert Lionel track to two-rail? Well, I've done it. Yeah, it leaves some holes there because you got nibs that stick up. You got to cut those off. But aside from that, I've done it. And I'm thinking I could take some very thin ballast and cover all that up down the middle. And like I said, if I can get my hands on some 072 switches, dirt cheap, no more than about 3 or 4, maybe 5 switches for the whole thing. Hey, might be able to pull it off. That would work for me. So, till next time, happy railroading. Oh, by the way, this weekend, that's about 3 days from now, we got a train show over here at the fairgrounds. If you're in the area, in the Brooksville, Spring Hill area, and you're looking for a train show, it'll be over at the fairgrounds over here on US Highway 41, also known as Broad Street. As you head south out of Brooksville, the fairgrounds are right there on your left, just on the south end of town there. So come on by. Buy some stuff. Give me some money so I can buy some stuff. And if you like the content, my videos, like them, subscribe. If you don't like them, well, you don't have to, I guess. But hey, that's just the way things are. So until next time, happy railroading.